show them the cabin, huh? Did you want to see our cabin? See, somebody shot the shotgun empty shell there. You want to open the cabin?
It's open.
Oh, is it? Now this is what we're talking about. We used to be able to leave everything out in the yard. So we have, each time we leave, we have to bring everything in like this, which causes a lot more work. But we can't just walk off and leave it. You have your water containers full of holes. But it works for what we need it for.
Well, I think that'll do it.
It's locked. Yeah, I was looking at that.
What was that?
The TV show. But it's not, is it like ABC, NBC, CBS?
There's on CBS in Anchorage and
Click that.
no, I didn't.
It's like cut through strip, but you
Yeah, she's throwing them out now. Did I get you to move your back to the side?
Now, first question is easy. Just go ahead and say your name and spell it for me, so make sure I get that right.
Mark Hem, H-E-M. It's my last name.
And tell me your title that you told me yesterday.
I'm Vice President of the Chitina Dipnetters Association.
Cool. And, well, first of all,
Well, for the past 20 years, this will be the 21st year, I've had a charter business down here, operated on the Copper River. I basically take state residents who qualify to go dip netting in the personal use fishery here out and drop them off along the bank, and they catch their fish and flag them down when they're ready and come back.
yeah. And,
Well, I believe that there is no strip of land there that is actually above the high water mark where people have access on DNR land. From the right-of-way, the old Copper River Northwestern Railway, down here to the Copper River at O'Brien Creek. And the state of Alaska, through our legislature, also believes that there is no trespass that happens within that section. That's why they did away with the $25 fee several years ago, or last year. And it wasn't enacted last year because they, the governor didn't sign it until too late in the year, and some people had already paid, so they waited. There have been people fishing here at Chitina for well over 100 years, not just native peoples, but also people involved with the railroad and from other communities that have been accessing this river all along here. The federal government deemed that the railroad right-of-way is a 300-foot easement right-of-way, and from that there are many access points, the majority of the river between O'Brien Creek and Haley Creek that is accessible. There are a lot of signs now that the corporation has put up that are actually within state right-of-way, where there is no trespass. They just pretty much went up and down the river and put signs. And they have no survey of any of the land, so they don't even actually know where any of their boundaries are. Through the legislature also, there was $100,000 appropriated to survey the right-of-way along the railroad here, and because of that survey and the knowledge that there was not a significant amount of trespass, that's why the legislature made the move they did to reduce or do away with the fee altogether.
now,
Well, as with any group, there's always a few that do things that make the rest look bad, whether it's shooting signs on the highway, leaving garbage, doing inappropriate activities. I do know in the 20 years that I've been here in Chitina that a lot of things happen from the local peoples. There are, at the dumpster site, where the site has been for the last 4 or 5 years, you'll see some batteries that are there, and you'll see an old refrigerator. Well, those are not left from dip netters. Those are left from local people. And in a lot of cases, they're left from native people that that use those and do those, along with other garbage. You can look around up around Chitina in some of the yards and see a lot of old junk cars and things like that. You can also, at the village in Chitina, there's a place called Chitina Electric, where the generator shack is. They had about 1,000-gallon spill several years ago that they just covered up with gravel. The Dipnetters, for the most part, the majority of them, really respect this resource, and they use these fish to feed their families. And they pack their garbage out. They're very respectful of the property around, and you know, they're willing to do what they need to do. And like I said, there's always a few that don't do that, but you're going to find that anywhere. There was money appropriated in the legislature this year for garbage and outhouse services here at Chitina. I don't know what the holdup is with that. You would need to check with the Department of Fish and Game or DOT. As the Chitina Dipnetters Association, we work very hard with the legislature and with other local agencies to try and ensure that things are going to be taken care of down here in Chitina, and that the garbage is going to be kept to a minimum and taken care of. There are legitimate concerns on both sides, but I believe that there are ways to work those concerns out, and putting roadblocks up or threatening people is just not an appropriate manner by which to do those things.
Action, something like that.
I do not believe that that would be legitimate, and I believe that our state legislature and governor would act quickly to rectify that problem, to take care of that issue. I don't think it would be right to deny any of the dipnetters, and many that come down here are also from the corporations, native peoples that do come down and utilize this fishery also. It should be open to all Alaskans. They should be allowed to come here and get their fish so that they can have extra food for their family during the winter months.
For, you know, to get the license or to have some sort of fee to take care of the trash issues and some of the other things?
I think that to provide garbage and outhouse services here in Chitina, there may need to be some fee in place. Although most other fisheries in the state of Alaska, there is no fee for those. Originally here at Chitina, when the fee was first instituted, there's a place called Fox Creek, and the road was made around Fox Creek and it went off of the right-of-way. That is where the very beginning of the trespass issue came in. They put a gate up and they tried to charge people for going in there. Well, the Dipnetters Association at the time agreed that there was trespass, and they did pay a fee. They instituted a fee on themselves because of that, and the Department of Fish and Game agreed to collect that fee. Quite a few years ago, the state straightened the road out, and that did away with the trespass issue there. We were still continued to be charged the fee. The Department of Fish and Game became very used to the fee being added into their budget, and they would still like to see a fee to take care of those services here. There's estimated from the Department of Fish and Game that there are approximately 30,000 state residents that come here to get their salmon. Anywhere between 6,000 and 10,000 permits issued a year, and it is one of the largest state fisheries. As far as any fee for a trespass, I do not think that's legitimate. I know that most dipnetters would not mind paying a fee if they were trespassing. The corporations have been encouraged to develop their campgrounds a little bit more, to do things like that, and people would gladly pay a fee to use those services and different things like that. The fee that has been charged here at Chitina, I feel, has become almost an entitlement, and that's not how it should be.
Or who do you think should, pay for that?
Who should provide that service, or who should pay for that service?
Well, I guess who should pay for it is a more important question.
I believe that the Department of Fish and Game should pay for that service, or that money should be appropriated through the legislature to pay for that service. And I believe that that service should be put out by a bid process, so that there can be competitiveness based with it, and there can also be a service reliability aspect to it, so that if a good job is not done, the contract would be lost and put out for rebid again to another entity. I can say that for the years that the corporations were in charge of that service down here, when that was included in the money that they received, the majority of time there was a very poor job done. And since it's been put out for bid and handled through a bid process, the service has become much more reliable, and the campgrounds have become much cleaner.
Is there a...
I would just like to say that it's unfortunate that Alaskans have to argue and squabble over a resource that belongs to all Alaskans, and that this whole issue even has to come about. Most Alaskans are good people. They like to work with other people. We have put out our hand before in the past, and we do now, to try and sit down and talk to bridge this gap without a lot of threats or innuendos or anything like that, to see if there is some way we can rectify the situation. Unfortunately, I believe there's an unwillingness to do that on the part of the corporations. And that's my feeling.
Very good.